Swiggity sorty, let's get that booty.
So it looks like the reveal of the Xbox Series S has finally happened. Apparently there's been some leaks that's been going around. Not only has there been some videos popping up of the trailer being leaked, but also a bunch of the specs that were included within the trailer, as well as some basically light touched and impression around the internet thus far. And here we are, no more than maybe 3 hours past the leak, and I want to bring this information to you all. But before we jump right in, I just want to remind you that hello, my name is Slim Cognito, and you're damn right that I'm black. Now, to kick things off, classically, if you take a look at the trailer here, everything that's going to be included will be stated within that we know so far. So I'm not going to just make this definitive everything about the Xbox Series S, naming convention is not that simple, but we will say this is what we know so far, according to the news that is available. Now, it is 60% smaller than the Xbox Series X, and you can see that based on the comparisons of the size, etc. It is also the smallest Xbox that they have made thus far, which is considering a lot because the very first one was huge. If I could remember correct, I think the Xbox One itself is very bulky as well, but I haven't seen one in hand in a good while. Now, the custom NVMe SSD, which would be 512 gigabytes, this NVMe SSD, for those who do not know, is a solid state drive, which is basically a flash memory drive rather than the hard drives that we're accustomed to. It has faster read and write speeds, which is gives us a greater capability for faster load times, textures loading in faster, and other things that it can be optimized for, which is a better gaming experience overall. It's been the go-to thing for upgrading hardware-wise, and when it comes to gaming, it's become the new standard for PC gaming very, very quickly, and it's also becoming the new standard for consoles as well. So NVMe SSDs are pretty much just a solid-state drive that you directly connect to the motherboard itself for the highest possible bandwidth. Much better bandwidth than, say, a solid state drive connected via SATA, which is the usual connection that you would use to connect that hard drive or solid state drive to. Moving on, the Xbox Series S is also all digital. So if you plan on using discs, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays and whatnot, HD DVDs on your Xbox, and you're using your physical copies of your games, the actual disc of your game, then this will not be the choice for you. But it does have the next gen performance that you're looking for, and it supposedly will make up for such. So this is basically the option for those who literally will have all their games in digital form and so on. Now, it also will support 1440p and up to 120 frames per second. Now, we have to be careful with this announcement because the thing about 120 frames per second, it's not easily achieved. And if they're expecting to use this hardware to achieve such with their newer games, I do believe they mean the lower performance impact games and maybe Xbox One game, since it's going to be completely backward compatible. So they're probably meaning that those older games will run at 1440 and up to 120 frames per second. So they have to be careful about that. But if they were to design games that would take full advantage and push it to the graphical limit of the current hardware available in these new consoles, that means that 1440p 120 FPS will not be guaranteed and not easy to do. It's going to be an amazing feat to even see them reach 1440 and 60 frames. But I just want to let you guys know this may just be a marketing angle rather than an objective fact for all future Xbox One titles or Xbox Series S and X titles. Now, another thing is it will have support for the ray tracing in the Xbox Series S. Now, ray tracing is the newest meme of a feature in graphical fidelity. You've noticed that ray tracing is basically just a better definition of character models and light being displayed, lighting systems and whatnot. And so you get better shadows, better lighting effects, and more realistic real-time rendering of lighting changes. So that's the ray tracing that we're talking about is also going to give you more vibrant colors based off of those lighting effects and everything else that would be in between. And it doesn't sound like a lot. It sounds like it's just a lighting engine upgrade, but it's much more than that, because when it comes to lighting, anybody who's worked in any type of cinematography or photography or any type of media production, you would know that light is firsthand one of the most important things to make everything look great. It makes colors pop. It gives you better definition. It gives better it allows for things to be captured better because there's more light to work with when it comes to machines and whatnot. So, but now they can mimic this essential use of light through cinematography in real life on 3D models and in-game artifacts. So this is more of a novelty feature, but a feature nonetheless that proves a lot of rendering and graphical power. Moving from there, there will be 4K media playback, and it is reported to have 4K game upscaling. This is huge because if games can be upscaled to 4K, even if they're not made for such, now this is something that's going to be kind of, iffy, because if the games are not made for 4K, it can impact the look of them a lot. You can't just take an old game and push it to run at 4K. I mean, you can, but it won't look great because it was designed to be played in resolutions like 1080p, no more than maybe 1440p. So I just hope to see if that's going to work out well for the Xbox One titles. Hopefully most of the Xbox One titles are 4K available and adaptable. Therefore, raising the resolution should not harm them much, but we will see. Maybe they're going to go back and touch them up and give some patches to their bigger titles, probably just the first party titles and their bigger third party, but we'll have to see with that. It also has variable rate shading and variable refresh rate. Variable rate shading, to give more context on that would take too long to explain, but basically the shaders that are used would be it's able to adapt. The reason that they're called variable, and it's going to adapt to either all of these are tools. Everything up to this onward are tools to make older games look and run better, and something that can be completely utilized for next gen game. Okay, so it's not really much of a need to go into rate shading. It's just for shading textures and colors and whatnot. It's not that big of a deal. Variable refresh rate, which also means that you could just change or adapt refresh rate from, say, this is all has to do with the hertz that your monitor and or TV can refresh the picture, how frequently it can do so. The usual minimum standard is 60 hertz, which is soon to be phased out. Eventually, we're going to be going up to, say, 144 hertz and even almost twice that, so it is going to have variable refresh rate. But likely when they say variable, they just mean you're going to be switching between 60 to 144 or more, 60 to 120 to 144 or more than that. So yeah, and refresh rates are basically just how often your TV or monitor can draw a new picture on screen, which is why people often tie these to your frame rate. So if you're playing a system that cannot go beyond 30 frames per second, or you're playing a game or a system that can't go beyond 30 frames per second, then you're not utilizing the refresh rate of your TV or monitor if it has 60 hertz, because give or take, it's not an exact transfer, but give or take, every frame usually is the amount of hertz that we'll be able to display, So moving on, lastly, the feature that they're introducing is the ultra low latency. Ultra low latency, I don't have a lot of context for this, but if I were to guess in any way, it probably means by input delay, or I can't really say it means network latency. They can't really guarantee something like that this early. And when it comes to networking topologies, it's still not perfect until the entire nation, or at least the majority of the world, is on fiber wire networks. It's not gonna be something that we can guarantee, but Ultra low latency, I believe, probably refers to your inputs. And you may think, well, that's not that big a deal. But what a lot of people do not remember, you won't really remember it unless you go back or, experience in previous times. Or maybe you could see a huge difference, even on the PS3, PlayStation 3. Bluetooth has gotten much better when it came to wireless connectivity. So the latency has been lower lately. But on the PS3, if you were to play your game while it's wireless, there's at least like about a half second or quarter second delay between you pressing the button and the action happening on screen. And there's a lot of factors with all of this that makes that latency happen. But the thing is, if you were to connect your DualShock 3 via USB, you will notice there will be a lot of less input loss and lag between you pressing that button and the action happen. So, and this latency has, been around since wireless controllers have become a standard. You just cannot notice it because we've adapted, but you will notice it if you were to say try to do so in a different manner. So me personally, I always plug in a USB cable when I game, at least 95% of the time, unless I'm feeling lazy and don't want to be all the way that close up to the console. The majority of the time, I have to have a hard cable. I have to have a hardwired cable. The only exceptions these days, some would say, would be like a mouse on a mouse or a keyboard. But honestly, personally, I just would rather have my cable because I'm just old school like that. And it's more dependable. I don't want to have to run out of battery. The biggest advantage with a wireless mouse, though, side note, slight tangent, would be just because you have a free random range of movement without any restriction. But that's neither here nor there. That's my main, that's the main thing I would have to surmise low latency would have to be referring to. So there you have it, is the Xbox Series S. Like I said, these are most of the things that you will see announced for it. As far as the design, it just seems to be a basic box meant to be strictly to house the components and keep it cool, nothing extra. It's the bare minimum, the minimum that you would need to game without all the extra frivolous thing. So that's actually a pretty cool option consumer wise, because not everybody cares about the pretty aesthetics and stylized things. It's not really a big issue or a big matter. And I like that marketing strategy, and it shows to be very, very effective. Not only that, but I get the feeling that this is something that they should have done long ago. This is something giving people the options for affordability, because I can guarantee you that likely it costs much less to manufacture the Series S to the Series X when it comes to manufacturing in bulk and mass production, because they're charged whenever you create a system or any type of electronic device. You're charged by every time a machine has to bend the metals, every time that a piece of plastic has to be shaped or formed. It's charged by that much. And cost effectiveness is the reason why every console is going to resemble a box or a rectangular prism of some kind. And that's a design that we can't exactly get all the way. So this is a very smart move, and I applaud them. But, me not being an Xbox fan myself, still, this is very interesting. And it's, everybody's already tweeting right now. It's trending as of right now, 5:25 a.m. on the 8th of September, 2020. Everybody is immediately, this news dropped for Microsoft and Xbox, but now it's the word Sony is trending because everybody's looking toward them, wondering what are they going to do next. So you tell me, what do you think they're going to do next? Because I have no idea. This is Xbox kind of playing catch up, because we already seen the two different models available. But the one thing that they've announced for the Xbox Series S is that the price is already public. So it's going to be $300 for the Xbox Series S. More adamantly, what they've directly listed on the video would be $299 in this leak trailer. So likely it's going to be $400 or $500 for the Xbox Series X. And that's going to be the difference in the gap. So not only do you get slightly less performance and storage, but you will also receive a smaller, just bare bones, only what you need. This is the perfect console upgrade for anybody who's avid Xbox user and just wants to upgrade but doesn't need all the extra things because they don't exactly have a 4K TV. You might still be using a 1080p TV, you know, things like that. So this is literally the perfect thing for the majority of Xbox players. And now that you have the Xbox Game Pass, you get to play over 100 high quality games, of course, that for a fixed rate per month. So that's the Xbox Series S experience, pretty much in a nutshell. And we want to see what else is coming, what else is going to happen. So there's some extra details that you can find if you check out. There are other pretty much in detail explanations. One of the best bit of news to keep up on the Xbox Series X and other news related is Austin Evans. If you go and check out his YouTube channel, he was given a first hands-on look into all of the hardware and components, a full breakdown and explanation of all of it, the motherboard to the every bit of bus and chips on the entire thing, everything internal and hardware wise. You will be able to get all the details on that from him, Austin Evans. And yeah, any other questions you may have, I would love to hear them so that I can keep, vigilant for the answers if I don't know them. And if I do, I would love to share them with you or point you in the right directions. So tell me what you think about this. I do appreciate you all for staying around this long and listening. And always remember the channel motto, okay? Intentions are the most important. Actions ain't nothing but loud, and words don't mean a damn thing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you feel. Follow me on Twitter. And check me out on Twitch. We do stream at least twice a week, or I try. All right. Take care of yourselves. Love y'all. Peace.